Now, the Canterbury-Bankstown Bulldogs, I think internally have responded to claims. The club handled the sacking of Kyle Flanagan poorly. Hoops, I know you've been chasing up this today because they copped a bit of a booting on this show last night, the Bulldogs. What are they saying to you through the day?
Well, Trent Barrett will front the media tomorrow for an all-in appearance, so it'll be fascinating to see the reasoning about how yesterday exactly unfolded. From the conversations that I've had today, I think the Bulldogs feel as though they actually spoke to Kyle Flanagan prior to him fronting up to face the cameras. And there was nothing from anything that Kyle said to suggest that he was going to be emotional the way that he was when he was asked a question about his old man. So Kyle's obviously got a lot going on at the moment.
I think if they could have had their time over, they would have done it completely differently. I think if with more experience maybe under Trent Barrett's belt, he would have maybe read the play differently. He benched him on the weekend. He said some pointed things about him after the game. And then Kyle didn't know going into that press conference that he was going to be dropped, but Barrett obviously knew that he wasn't going to play him.
But that's not what
I disagree though, Larry, in relation to, like, Kyle Flanagan is a highly paid footballer at the Canterbury-Bankstown Bulldogs. He's been bought there. There's been stories on the front page and the back page.
How many highly paid players, though, Hoops, have been protected by their coaches in the past?
But hang on a minute. You're a journalist. You go to all the media ops.
Yeah, of course.
So when you go to a media op and a player's been benched, right, over the weekend, the only player that everybody wants to speak to, I think there are half a dozen journalists there, and they all requested that they get Kyle Flanagan to speak to.
But that was what does that do for the Bulldogs putting him up?
Decision.
That's what I mean. Like for the Bulldogs,
they spoke to Kyle beforehand, and Kyle, from everything that they spoke to Kyle about, he seemed as though he was mentally okay and in a decent space to step up and answer the questions.
I spoke to Trent Barrett as well about it, and they actually went through a lot of what he would be asked, and they thought in their mind, they knew at some point he's going to have to speak about it. They knew at one point all of us are still chasing it, and if it's not today, it'll be tomorrow and the day after until eventually he speaks. So they thought, you know what, rather than having days of speculation, get him up quickly, let's see how he is, frame of mind, good frame of mind,
and
went through it all with him.
Yeah, I was going to say, did they put to him that you think your position in the team is safe? Did they test that question?
That's the bit where they have no questions.
Because then he's sitting in the sheds afterwards. Yeah. He's sitting in the sheds afterwards in tears with the welfare team. He's got people all around him. He's got the coach all around him crying about it. And then Trent Barrett sits opposite him and says, "But you dropped as well." So how are they looking after the player? That's what they're claiming, that they're looking after him, but they can't be if they then go and drop him an hour later.
I get that point. I just say that where they were at, they thought that they could deal with it and just get it behind them. And then probably in a sneaky way, he's had his press conference, he's just spoken about it, even though we've now just told everyone else he's not there, he's no longer speaking. But the fact is, it was only the question about his father that unnerved him. They weren't to know that Cole was going to break down the way that he did. What would have suggested, like, he's a grown man.
He's 22. Maybe his history. Larry, maybe the fact that he's been dumped by a very good team and there's been a lot said about his ability as a player.
He's a professional footballer. He's not a professional footballer.
And they would have known he was going to get asked about his position in the team, which he would have had to answer. Only then to have those quotes go into the public and then find out that he was benched.
But the thing that's upset everybody and made this such a lightning rod for the conversation is the fact that he broke down and cried. That's it. If he got up and he said, "Look, I didn't know I'm about to be dropped, but look, I deserved it," and he didn't break down and cry, everyone would have just moved on. It's the emotional response to the question.
That's a fair point.
The question wasn't about him being benched.
Yeah, but they sat down and went through it with him and thought emotionally he was okay to handle it. And that's the only thing that's upset everybody since.
Okay.